Hello, everyone. My name is Melina, and this is,
Jordan, her husband,
and we are the board certified bays.
Bays.
Welcome back. We are already on number four for four functions of behavior. Today we are on the last one, and it is tangible slash access. So Jordan, if you can go ahead and take that away.
My pleasure, darling. So, tangible or access, what we're really talking about is we engage in some sort of behavior in order to get access to something or the tangible item, right? I think one of the things that I always like to say is that access or tangible can be a person, place, or thing as well. Right. The reason why a person can be a tangible and not necessarily for attention, like we talked about in the last one, is that sometimes young kids just want another person in the room. You might not have any engagement with them at all. And that's what kind of separates between attention and tangible at that point. There's no engagement, right? If you were in the living room, playing or just, sitting there doing your own thing, and our daughter was off to the other side of the room doing her own thing, and you get up to go to the bathroom and she starts crying until you come back, at that point you're a tangible item. It's not the attention that they're seeking.
Especially infants.
Yeah, especially young babies. They
Yeah.
do. um, but for all of us out there that are able to listen along to this, we all know that we need to bring in a certain level of income to survive, and that there is a very big tangible item right there that we're all seeking to get whatever level that is. And we got to work to do that, because that right there is something that we can use to purchase all the things that we want, but we need to have that first. The only way to get that is to go to work.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just thought about a example of access or tangible that I wanted to bring up, but I don't know. Our big event from this week, can I bring that up? That just happened to us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, fun times. Our car got stolen,
Yeah, they jacked us.
but they didn't want the car. They wanted everything in the car, which was like car seats and stuffed animals and blankets
Baby wipes.
and baby wipes, clean and dirty. So apparently that was something they really wanted. So they took the whole car just for that and then dumped the car. So yeah, that was an example of
Sensory toys.
wanting something specific. The behavior was they literally jacked the whole car. So that
Yeah.
just made me think of that. But yeah.
Well,
So, anyways, with that being said, so tangible. When we talk about tangible behaviors, um, when they are not necessarily appropriate, what are some things that we can help teach our clients, our kids, whatever you want to call them? What would you think is a great replacement behavior in order to gain access to people, place, things?
I think the simplest one would be requesting, right? Just asking for them. That's probably one of the biggest replacement skills that we use for them. But also with asking, we might accept that one first, but it's also really, really hard to be for kiddos like, I want to go to the park, and it's like 11 o'clock at night to want to do those things.
True.
So you can't necessarily jump straight to, reinforcing or delivering access 100% of the time. So being able to teach that cannot come without being able to work on denied access as well as waiting, because some of those go into there as well.
Yeah.
Being able to wait for dinner, even though a kid says like, I want my spaghetti and meatballs, and you haven't started cooking yet.
And I know this one, like the denied access piece, like that one is a tricky one because a lot of people may disagree with us, and that's fine. But what's hard is that a lot of people don't take into consideration that this world is not going to be able to always
Yes,
take
yes, yes,
time
yes,
to
yes.
say yes and make it happen. And so for us, even as parents right now with our kid, it's like learning denied access, because no, you can't always have a cookie, because then you're going to get a tummy ache. Or no, you can't go run into the middle of the street just because you want to, because I don't want you to get hurt, right? So it is important for us to also teach being denied those things, so that they can be able to cope as they get older. Because last thing we would want her to do is be frustrated because we never said no, and now she's 17 and wanting to, do things that are dangerous for her, or for others, or things like that. And no is not something she's ever heard before. Her behaviors right now as a 2-year old are going to be a lot easier to kind of help and get through than when she's 17 and taller than me, right? So I think too, it's really important to think about like the future. As much as we want to take it day to day, also thinking about the future of like, if I get them upset right now, is it going to be long term helpful for them as they turn into like little humans, and then preteens, and then
Already
adults,
little
and
humans, but
you know what I mean? Like little
yeah,
baby to toddler to kid to preteen to adult.
yeah.
So yeah.
You're right. It's such a big point. Yeah, the grueling reality is that we can't always get what we want.
And that's
Yeah.
just in life in general, right?
Yeah, and then in the field where we have, places saying that you shouldn't say no to kids, and sure, if that's how you feel, great. But I can probably guarantee you that if they get in the car and they say, "Take me to McDonald's," mom or dad's going to say no.
What if they don't have the money to? It just can't happen,
There's just
right?
going to be a point in time where a
Someone's gonna
parent
say
or a
no.
school or a teacher, somebody's going to say no to that individual, that kiddo. And if they don't have the tools that they can to handle it, then we've done a disservice as
Absolutely.
as therapists,
Absolutely.
as behavior analysts, because we're not helping them with behaviors in that moment. We're just It's easier for us if we don't have to say the word no and just give them what they want.
And this is beyond just cookies and
Yeah.
access to food, right? It's like getting into specific programs, getting, into plays, or like long term, getting a job. Like hearing no for me as an adult, there was one job that I got a no at, and that was so hard. And I've been told no before, but even that was hard for me emotionally. So let alone someone that hasn't had to deal with
And you
hearing a
didn't
no.
actually really want that job.
I know, but it was the pride in me. Okay, it was the pride. It was the pride. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it is like tangible. Tangible is one of those ones that, it when we say tangible, that's like the jargon for the world, but the field that we're in. But it's just they want some access to a specific item. That could be iPad, it could be candy, it could be food, it could be water, it could be juice, it could be a new pet.
Disneyland.
Disneyland, whatever it is. Disneyland is expensive. I can guarantee that if you don't have a season pass and your child asks you, 7 days a week that they want to go to Disneyland, I'm sure that you're saying no at some point. But anyway, tangible is one of those things that, or getting access to items is something that is so widely shown, on like TV and movies and things like that, where a kid walks into, or sorry, not a kid, a family walks into a grocery store, and there's a child that asks for a candy bar. Mom says no, or dad says no, and then they have a hard time with that, and they may cry or scream on the floor, and then they end up getting their candy bars to keep them quiet, right? But those are the things that we see on TV, and you always see the camera always will go to like other people in there, and they'll always be showing faces
Which
of
is real
disgust,
life.
and
Which is real
it
life.
is real, and that was, as a real story of this. I was in the grocery store just last weekend, and this was happening, and I wanted to be like, hey, is there anything I can do to help? But I also didn't want to disrespect the privacy of the family in that, because they look like they were, really focused and determined, and whether it was getting the groceries done and to get out quickly of the grocery store or whatever it was. And I just thought that it would be a really big inconvenience for me to be able to go and do that. But again, that is like, and I don't know why that child was screaming or anything like that. So I had no background information. It was just what I saw. But just seeing the number of people like showing, instead of showing concern about, how is the family doing? Are they okay? It was just more of disgust of like, well, why did you bring your child? And like, it's like, what? Like, no, like, why?
Yeah,
Like,
people suck.
it does. It makes it hard, but we see that type of tantrum all of the time. I think it's overplayed on TV and in movies and often talked about a lot, but it is no by no means an indication of good or bad parenting.
Mm-mm.
It's not a standard to keep like, oh, your child's just so well behaved in the grocery store out in public. Like, no.
It wasn't probably ever always that way. Like it was something that was learned,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah. I think that's it. Like we've talked about, this is the fourth one of the last function we're going to talk about, but we've talked about each one of these functions, and the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway of all these episodes is that behavior has a purpose. Every single behavior that we engage in a day, and when we say behavior, I'm not talking about bad ones, right? And I say that with quotes, right? Bad ones, because the all behavior is living your day-to-day life. Getting in the car and driving is a behavior. Taking a breath is a behavior, right? We only refer to behavior when we're talking about kids having a hard time or somebody having a hard time, like, oh, that's a bad behavior, like that. But behavior can be good and it can be bad. But the biggest thing that you need to take away from all of this is that there is a purpose. There is a fundamental reason as to why
mm-hmm.
we as individuals are doing something.
Absolutely.
Right. And that is the biggest takeaway. It could be to get access to something,
Mm-hmm.
it could be to escape something, it could be for attention, it could be because it feels good. Right. And I think that that is the most important thing to take away from this series, is that there is a purpose. And if you can find out which one of these buckets it falls into, you're going to have a whole lot easier of a time working on how to help that individual through that behavior than if you just assume.
Yeah. I mean, even taking yourself into consideration, because some of us do things that are maybe not the healthiest or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then realizing it's becoming a pattern. And now it's like, okay, let's start doing some, taking some data on ourselves, right? It's like, why do I keep doing this? When does it tend to happen? That's a whole nother thing we can get into, the ABCs. But I just think it's important to not just like to remember that again, the four functions, ABA in general, is not just meant for individuals that are on the spectrum. Literally, it has to do with behavior of individuals, all of us, everyone, your mama, your dad, your child, your cousin, your sister, everybody, right? Your husband, your wife. So it's just something to remember that can be applied everywhere, not just in a clinic space working with autistic children. Like, this is something that you guys should be um, utilizing everywhere. And if you are a BCBA or on your way to become a BCBA, it will just make you better at your job because you won't have such a narrow lens of like, oh, well, this means that because, it just trying to put people into a box. I
Mm-hmm.
think it'll help you be a better BCBA if you're able to utilize these skills, thinking through every person and their behaviors and what they tend to do and why. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you just said made me think of like that saying, if X do Y, or like, or if it's A, it's B. Like, do B. But if it's X, you got to try A through Z
Yeah.
to find out what is going on, because those are all the variables that you have to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. So, if this, then that. Like, no, it's if this, then everything in between,
Mm-hmm.
and then try that. Um, and I think tangible is one of those that it can be. I want to say it's easier to identify because there's like that frequent requesting for something, or there's frequent eye contact to a particular thing, not an individual, right? In this situation, but if I saw a pack of Oreos over there, I might look at it several times before asking for one. You're like, okay, so then that's an indicator of like I might want that sort of stuff. which sounds really good at this point, but wasn't thinking about it until this example, and I don't know why it came up. But anyways, but that's how you want to look at it. So we want to think about it in those ways, because it can be fairly easy to identify, because there's frequent eye contact towards that item. There is frequent requesting or reaching,
or if it goes away, all of a sudden crying,
yeah,
or
it's
being
taken away.
upset.
Yeah, so that, like, those things help to identify this one the easiest, and I think that's probably why it's one of the ones that are most widely shown on different media channels. And it also makes it the easiest to talk about, and also what I think about is the simplest to talk about, because we all want things in our lives, and it's really easy for us to find them, and find ways to get them. And I think when we are talking about kids in as a whole, they're resilient, they're smart, and they're very capable, more so than we give them credit for in many situations. And if there's a way for them to get access to whatever it is that they're looking for, or to get something by engaging in a particular behavior, they'll learn, they'll find out, and they'll remember how to do it.
Yeah.
It's up to us to make those changes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do you agree?
I agree. I definitely agree.
Anything else to add?
No, I just thought when you're like, they'll do anything to get what they need. It just reminded me again of how our car got stolen.
It's in the past now.
I know. It's just, it's
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you this then. What are some things that you do to get what you want, to get access to something?
It depends. Sometimes I just tell you, like, I really want this food. It's mainly food or coffee.
It is definitely food.
Or coffee. I'm like, can we go get a coffee? Yeah, like sometimes I try to have us do a little detour.
Have me in there when I don't.
Yeah, but you'll park in front of the place and throw me out for a second.
Yeah.
So I feel like most of the time I'll talk about it. I've tried to make like PowerPoints of things that I want, but I feel like he wouldn't be receptive to that, so I didn't really follow through on that one. Access, let's see.
It's like, what PowerPoint?
Like for like Christmas and things like that.
I've seen you put them together.
Because I know that
I've
like,
never received
you
one.
don't really actually want to use that. You want to think of something on your own. So like I'm like, there's no point in doing it.
No, there is a point, because what it does is it provides me with information.
To pick something else.
No, maybe. But it provides me with information that I can use to then find something that might be in the category.
When it comes to work, I'll usually just like, if it's something that, because I love like decorating the clinic and like making it feel all cutesy and stuff. So I'll literally just send links to my boss. And then eventually I'll be like, so did you see my link? And then.
Or do a whole slideshow with all the links in.
Yeah.
That's why I said I've seen them, but I've never received one.
Yeah. So things like that.
Or is it because of the Christmas one? The list is too long.
It's just like I want
like
to add
Santa's,
to it throughout the year.
Yeah, so it's like Santa's good or bad list. It's just like forever long.
Yeah. So I would say those. I don't know. I'm just pretty good at saying what I need and what I want, I think, for the most part. No? We disagree.
I disagree on that one. I disagree. I'm sorry.
So what do I do?
When what?
When I want something tangible or access to something, what do I do?
I think I've created this. Sometimes you whine for it.
I whine for it?
Yeah. It's like, I really want...
I literally
But I don't want that.
No, I will say if I don't want something, I'm like, that doesn't sound good.
That's not how you say it.
I don't whine.
Okay.
Okay. Well, what do you do if you want access to something? I feel like you just say it, I guess. I'm trying to think of appropriate things though. Like I'm trying to keep it appropriate. So like food, or like you don't really ask for much though. Like you kind of are just like, get me clothes for every holiday, because otherwise I won't get them for myself. It's almost like a threat more so. Like, you're gonna wear the same thing for 20 years.
What? Not even the same
Shoes,
size.
it's like anytime we actually do find your size, we'll just get them because that's not
Yeah,
something
it's
that
not
happens
often that we
often.
get the size. So
That's
like,
what
I'm
I'm
not gonna
saying.
waste the
That's
time. Like,
I'm agreeing with you.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
not
You
gonna
have a
spend
big
time.
foot, and so we just get what we can when we can. Um, Sourdough. He wanted sourdough, so I finally started again.
I was asking for that for months.
Yeah, I just had to be mentally prepared because it's like keeping another child alive.
It wasn't that hard yesterday.
It That was yesterday. That was one day you actually fed it.
No, it wasn't that hard.
His name is Sancho. So yeah. But yeah, for the most part, you use your words. You tell me what you need. Tell me what you want. So I feel like you don't really need to work on that very much.
Okay. Yeah.
Good job. So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that is all about access. Thank you guys for tuning in for the past 4 weeks about all the functions of behavior. It's been a lot of fun to kind of just talk about all of that, what it means, how it looks like maybe in the workplace, but also in just real life. And again, I think out of everything that we want you guys to remember is that, again, these are functions that are applicable to every human being and that it does not just pertain to the population that we tend to work with. So don't count yourself out because we all have behavior.
100%.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I don't. But I guess that there is, because then I was going to say something. So yes.
Okay.
But if there is something that you want us to go over or dive into, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Because that can make it fun, more engaging that way too. Because we love doing this.
Yep. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Bye for now. See you soon.